the first place I go when you start talking about these magnetic field changes is the fact that this ESS60 molecule is the largest molecule to exhibit quantum behavior, right? So you've got quantum behavior. We're familiar with it. I think Einstein said, if you think you understand it, then you haven't read enough about it, right? Like it's that complex. And the ESS60 molecule is the largest molecule to exhibit quantum behavior. So it wouldn't surprise me if because of this duality, that it has the ability to actually stay in its spot, right? To continue to operate as it normally does, regardless of the magnetic field.
As we see, the world has changed yet again. It's gone sort of a little more sideways, and we're coming into winter too. So as we look at things that we want to prepare for our bodies, we need to really get our immune system strengthened as we go from the summer into the autumn, and then when we get to the really cold. And the forecast for this year, because of La Nina setting on heavy in the Pacific, is going to be an extremely wet, heavy wet snow, and like cold to the bone type of winter. So get ready for that. Really a lot of moisture in the air with that chill, and that's much different than a dry cold. So our bodies are going to behave a little bit differently, moving into the season. So we're going to need to protect ourselves from that. And what about the elixir of life, if there is such a thing? C60 EVO. And Patty Greer is here with me, and Chris Burres. We're going to talk a little bit about how how you get the mega pint, what we got here. Global awareness is rising, and being the solution to this. You see it, we all feel it. Something's moved to the point where everybody's seeing that something that we've been taught as truth is no longer, and that it's an opaque kind of misty world we've moved into, and everybody sees it. So where do we go from here? Because that stress can take a toll on your body. If you're continually under stress, and Chris, you can talk about this more than myself, cortisol levels, and this continuous stress is just going to grind you down. So, walking barefoot might be something, or again, C60 EVO, these types of things that we can use to cleanse our bodies and get us ready for changes of seasons and changes of psyche. The psyche bend is coming. The change of psychological operation is in motion now, as we can see it. So thank you for both joining me today, and I'll let you all start off wherever you want to go with that long-winded introduction, but welcome, everybody.
Thank you for having us. I'll start with, as we're experiencing this stress, a lot of people don't know, like, as we kind of pare down to what's really going on in our bodies, you're right, cortisol is involved. And when you get to the core structure, it's actually the mitochondria. It's the powerhouse of every cell. There's between 50 and 5,000 mitochondria in every cell in your body, except for your blood cells, which have 0, and your brain and neurons, which have 2 million, right? Our nervous system uses so much energy. It's probably why we kind of start as we're experiencing the stress with brain fog, kind of memory loss, those types of things, because that mitochondria is the piece that's suffering. And it is the thing that we're most proud about in terms of our product. A lot of products out there, a lot of supplements are extremely proud to share that their product operates at the cellular level, and they should be. Like, that's a great level to operate. There are other supplements that don't even operate at the cellular level. We're excited because our boss theory shows that we're actually operating at the subcellular level, at that mitochondrial level, at that organelle that's experiencing all the stress, that's actually responsible for managing the stress, responsible for providing the energy to the cells so that they can manage the stress. And yeah, so as you think about coming into this, cold and flu season, it's just around the corner. A lot of people tend to lean on vitamin C, right? Like I said, I'll drink some orange juice and, crank up my vitamin C to, I don't know, 1 gram, 2 grams, 3 grams, whatever it is. It's pretty cool to share that our product, there's an ad hoc study that shows our product to be 172 times more powerful than vitamin C. There's a peer-reviewed published research paper that shows us to be 125 times more powerful than vitamin C. So when you're thinking about, and we know that ours operates at the mitochondrial level, at that subcellular level. So when you're thinking about, hey, I want to fortify my system so that I can manage whatever is going to attack it over these next coming months and really day to day anyway. Like we often talk about stressed mitochondria and how do you stress a mitochondria? And the reality is, if you live in modern society, you have stressed mitochondria, right? We've got the stress of news, we've got the stress of traffic, we've got the stress of pollution, and if you're a drinker or smoker, certainly you've got stresses there. Like there's just stress everywhere in modern society, and we're talking about C60 Evo, which works according to the boss theory, at the mitochondrial level, that subcellular level, to help you manage that stress.
More important to me is that the brain has 2 million mitochondria per cell, which is massive. So when we take a product like this, put it in our body, and all of a sudden it's like, whoa, I'm remembering all this like within an hour. It's one of the most noticeable, it's the most noticeable remedy I've ever taken in my life. It's why I'm partners with the guys that are the only ones making the stuff that's safe for humans and pets. E.S.S. which is the carbon 60 fullerene that's cleaned to the maximum possible level in our lab in Houston, Texas. And Chris and Robert have been making it since 1991, which is the longest lab in the world creating carbon 60 fullerenes. And we are the only lab that took it to a new level, which is why we call it C60 Evo, the evolution of the entire industrial grade carbon 60 industry to become safe for people and pets. And it's called ESS 60, not C60. C60 is for ink, batteries, tires, photocells. People that want to boost their immunity, like Chris said, 172 times more powerful than vitamin C as an antioxidant. In a peer-reviewed test, it was only 125 times more powerful. So, you can eat a whole package of those things that melt in water to be a spoonful of Evo. Like for me, it's a no-brainer to take something that I can feel within 15, 20 minutes. That to me is a remedy that resonates with my body. And while we are in this total recalibration of humanity, and that's what we're in right now, is a recalibration where we have to intuitively be drawn to the right things for each of us, because nobody's going to fix my world or yours or theirs. We have to fix our own world from the inside out. And your whole audience, my God, what we've lived through. We are on the other side of that 5-year flu. And all of us that are here today, congratulations. We are the warriors of health and wellness. And just don't turn on your TV for any reason. Don't go into the old paradigm. Just get yourself healthy. This is my remedy right here. C60 Evo olive oil, capsules, oil on a spoon. Just take it before noon and your brain's going to clear, in my opinion, not everybody, but in noticeable ways for many people.
Yeah, I can attest to the brain as well, because stacking now with alpha GPC and CDP choline, and then also with the C60 EVO, that is a rocket fuel for your brain. Like, a lot of people using modafinil and a kind of other things to get that super focus, like limitless pill type thing. But doing on the more natural stack side of things is the best way to go. It doesn't really interfere with the sleep pattern too much. You can actually fall asleep at the end of the night versus being wide awake as 4 a.m. going, damn, I'm gonna try to go to sleep for 3 hours. I should just get back up and work again. That kind of thing. Just get on that treadmill and you're not going to last very long. You're going to burn out. But, those capsules that you showed the bottle, I'm sorry, you don't have a bottle to show. My mom and dad scooped those up, took them with them, and never gave them back, and they're gone. So that disappeared up into my parents' house. So that just shows you that it makes them feel a little more energetic as well through the day. So just thought I'd throw that out there.
We're hearing about a lot of stolen products from our influencers. If you let your wife try the skin cream or the facial serum, good luck getting that back. Now, how did you like the tangerine body cream?
It just gives you that incredible, like if you understand the mechanism of citrus to awaken the senses, where you really feel like you're down on an island somewhere, you're next to the beach, you came back, you're a little bit sunburnt, you got to put something on with the aloe vera, and then if you're looking for that kind of sensation just from the aroma coming out of it. But how do you just keep regular hydration when it's the weather changes, start to get really dry, and wouldn't say itchy, but you definitely can see that your skin's getting dry. This is like, put it on and you're good for the entire day. Like sometimes if you're using something else, you'll have to go back a couple, 2-3 times a day. It'll get itchy in the same spots, especially if it's sunburned or if you're getting dry from the wind, you got wind burnt or something. This is like a one time for the whole day and you're good. And it's really that much better than, like I say, trying to put, different combinations of something on the skin to get that same hydration locked in or to keep it moisturized enough where the skin doesn't dry back out again. And would it
Cheers.
be offensive if I did 10 mils on that?
Go for it.
You sure? All right, here we go.
Go. Cheers.
Would it be offensive if a lady just drank it out of the bottle like I just did? Oh, well.
To each his own, I guess.
I'm not sure there's an offensive way to consume ESS60. I think
There's no
it's all
way.
good.
So, Chris, what is it about the body cream that's keeping the skin good all day long?
Well, I was thinking, let's roll back a little bit because, I know your audience is growing. Maybe some people haven't heard the kind of backstory of this molecule, right? So what we're talking about, this ESS60 molecule, I'm holding a model of the molecule. If you're listening, you don't have to rush to a screen or anything. Just imagine a soccer ball where the lines on the soccer ball represent the bonds between the carbon atoms. You have a spherical molecule of 60 carbon atoms. We call that ESS60. That stands for elemental safe sphere. Clearly, it's a sphere. We process it to be safe, and the element is carbon. The molecule was discovered in 1985. The three scientists who discovered it won the Nobel Prize in 1996. The molecule is an amazing industrial molecule, and the scientific community thought we would be working with it on a regular basis. By the way, my lab started producing it in 1991. We're the oldest and longest manufacturer and distributor of this molecule on the planet. We actually were manufacturing it 5 years before the three scientists won the Nobel Prize. Pretty spectacular to be there from the beginning. So they thought we would be using it because it's such an amazing molecule in a vast variety of applications. And if that was going to happen, then man was going to be working with it. They also thought it would be toxic for some of the shapes that are on the exterior of that cage. They thought it would be toxic. They put it in a toxicity study. Instead of being toxic, the test subjects that they gave it to, in this case, it was Wistar rats, lived 90% longer than the control group. So the single longest longevity experimental result on mammals, peer-reviewed published research, is because of this C60 Evo formula. So we're pretty excited. Now, our most consistent testimonials, people take it in the morning, they report mental focus and energy during the day, and then better sleep that night. That mental focus and energy during the day is kind of why Patty doesn't like to take it later in the day. A lot of our clients goes either way. We get about 5% of our clients really say that if they take it past noon, that it can keep them up. So take it in the morning. It's pretty spectacular to think about something that you would take in the morning and positively impact your sleep. Like, that's already a revolutionary product. Now add to it the fact that it gives you focus and energy during the day and then supports better sleep that night. There is nothing on the market that has that benefit. I've been, kind of scouring the supplement and herbal world. There is nothing on the market that does that. We are aware that if you get exercise in the morning, that'll positively impact your sleep and actually give you some focus and energy during the day. If you don't exercise, if you exercise too much, you might get worn out, and that would detract the focus and energy. But if you get exercise, that'll positively impact sleep. If you get exposure to the sun and get your circadian rhythm in line with the rising and falling of the sun, you will also positively impact your sleep. There are things you can do in the morning. There are no supplements or medications that you can take in the morning to positively impact sleep. I think that's pretty phenomenal. And one other piece of the story that I think is just fascinating, right? We're already talking about a 90% extension of life, but a typical Wistar rat lives 32 months and has a known amount of tumor mass in its body. The longer it lives, the more tumor mass it has in its body. Even though the C60 Evo rats lived out to 62 months, again, 90% longer than the control group, none of them had any tumors. There's a big difference between dealing with a cancer that has metastasized versus being potentially a cancer preventative. We know things as simple and easy as exercise, good sleep, good nutrition can be preventatives. That piece of the story suggests that this ESS60 molecule really has a role to play in prevention. We have a lot more research so that before we can make that claim, but it's already inherent for us to be looking at it in the context of that initial study.
So Chris, you know, when you were talking about things that give you that boost of energy during the day, and Patty, when I was talking, you were talking about doing exercise and things like hiking and sort of. Just walk me through creatine versus Evo, and like what exercises would it be most beneficial for, or everything. But again, I would, you know, somebody's going to have the same question. So if it popped into my mind, creatine versus Evo, like anything in there that we can.
Creatine is so inexpensive and well researched. I would also do creatine, right? So it's not an either or, it's a both. Creatine has lots of research behind it. Good for muscle development, good for muscle recovery, actually good for brain function. And so it is one thing that's in my regular stack. I don't have many things in my regular stack. Absolutely Evo and creatine, again, because it's pennies on the powder. Like, it's just, there's no reason to not have creatine in your diet. It's actually beneficial for men and women. In terms of what's going to be more powerful, kind of long term, if you think about the mechanism of action, right? Creatine tends to take water and bring it into your muscles. So one, you know, you can get some muscle mass pretty quickly with creatine, which is kind of fun. But compare that to actually functioning at the mitochondrial level, there just isn't a comparison, right? Like there is no comparison of being something that mops up the negative byproduct of mitochondrial function, right? So mitochondria is the powerhouse of every cell. It's producing energy in your cells. And like every energy source, there's a negative byproduct. Internal to the mitochondria, you have glutathione and melatonin to manage those negative byproduct. By the way, the negative byproduct is reactive oxygen species. And we know that the ESS60 molecule is in the mitochondria. We know that it can hold up to 6 negatively charged particles. Some of the reactive oxygen species, in fact, the most damaging ones, are negatively charged particles. So we believe when a mitochondria is stressed and it's producing more reactive oxygen species than can naturally be managed, which would normally mean those reactive oxygen species go out and do damage, this ESS60 molecule is holding on to them so they can't do any damage. And then when that mitochondria replenishes the glutathione, replenishes the melatonin, then they can grab them off of the ESS60 molecule and manage them properly. To kind of summarize that, we believe we're reducing the negative impact of stressed mitochondria. And if you are reducing the negative impact of stressed mitochondria, when there are between 50 and 5,000 in every cell in your body and 2 million in your brain and neurons, then you are going to have head to toe testimonials.
Here I am, and older and wiser. And like Chris said, 10 years ago, my memory wasn't at all what it is today. But I also, because the mitochondria in my brain is also affecting the mitochondria in my pineal gland, which I think is going to be one of the most important glands in the human body as we move through this evolution and ascension of humanity. People are going to be really needing to find their balanced self and their intuition to choose perhaps ESS60 over industrial grade C60 from Wuhan, China. Probably a good choice to make. Things made in America are going to be, shall we say, more safe. When we look at facial serums, ours has 21 organic, natural, vegan ingredients that you can pronounce, that you can recognize. And why does our facial serum work? Is because we used an aromatherapy, a woman that did the formula with me that's written over 20 books on raw foods and natural living. And so she looked incredible for 70 when I saw her and I was designing this. And I said, what are you doing on your face? Because I'm here for a face formula. She said, chia seed oil, which I'd never heard of in a face serum. So we're kind of breaking into new territory with the ESS60 being the first of its kind. And also the chia seed oil for skin is marvelous. And so the guys at the lab took a minute like facial serum. We're a bunch of guys. And then a year later, Chris is like noticing his skin is like, my wife, I look even better almost. I mean, all the guys at the lab are looking really super good. Their skin is just glowing. So he calls me a year later and he goes, well, I have a confession. And I was like, oh God, what? He said, me and the guys at the lab just created another face product. So we've got this two-part because they discovered this amazing UTH29 peptide, which is Chris is probably going to model it, knowing him. He
Put
loves
the two ingredients together.
Okay, so you take a pump of this blue formula, which is the peptide, or 2 pumps, and then you double the amount of pumps with drops of the Evo. And the reason you have to do it in your hand freshly is to freshly activate each concentration, because we didn't want to use emulsifiers and icky chemicals. And the only way to do that is to have the customer do a fresh activation in your palm each time you use it. And look at him. I mean, I like to tease that he looks great for 80, but he's only 56. But his skin is probably not going to change for the next 30 years because he puts it on every show.
Every morning, actually, and any show that I get the chance.
Right? Well, he definitely does it every show. And I do it every morning because I don't choose to do products anymore that have all these chemicals in them, or products that we can't even say them out loud because the spelling, these really long words, and it's probably something that's not from nature if it's got a name that long that we can't recognize. So our products are not like that. And our oils that are edible are organic oil and E.S.60, nothing else. Because really, the oil is the carrier for this miracle molecule. Lately, our shows have been asking us, why is E.S.60 not known more? Like, why is it so suppressed? And I will say that even though you had asked me for testimonials, there's so many words we're not allowed to say still because, the show will get pulled. When I say congratulations, all of us that are here today, I mean it. Like, we have survived the biggest con in human history. Now is the recovery and the revival. And that's what we're seeing across the world, is the revival. Like, all the churches, are getting massive amounts of people that haven't been to church in decades because they want community again and they want some clarity. We are all in transit right now. I think that this is transmutation is another great word. Recalibration, transmutation. What it is moving into a higher consciousness, a higher frequency, a higher knowing. And a lot of people are saying, I don't know what's going to happen in a month or 2 weeks with the shipping and all this. I want to make sure I have enough of this because we are going to be needing to prioritize our investments. A lot of the comments I see are, it's so expensive. It's like, this expensive? What's your health worth? What is your mental focus worth? It's really not very expensive at all. And when I look at the price of most supplements that people buy every month and they don't really feel anything, they maybe don't benefit at all, I think, why don't you skip 2 of those and buy a bottle of Evo, and maybe within a half hour you're going to go, what? Yeah, a lot of people notice very quickly.
If I could interrupt, now if you're thinking about an ROI on mental clarity, you're looking at fractions of a percent on what you can achieve if you have mental clarity and you remove that brain fog and your focus. You're talking about literally fractions of 1% that you could generate income or think of different ways and ideas to do something else. So why would you step back and stepping over the dollars to get to the pennies, for a better term?
What's your health worth? I
Again,
mean,
infinitely, people who are on the cusp of deaths will pay billions of dollars to stay alive days longer. And we see this with billionaires that will spend any amount of money to stay alive, any amount.
Well, preventative is the way to go. When you can take something that helps you tomorrow, that helps you in a month, that clears out the trash in your system. Most people are just dealing with the food, the water, the air. And I'm really glad to
Necessities
see.
of life.
Huh?
That's the necessities of life itself.
Yeah, like food, water,
Food,
and
water,
air.
air.
It'd be really nice to see that cleaned up. And I do believe that the Great Awakening is upon us. And I have total faith that humanity is going to pull through this. All I'm doing now is helping people make it easier on you and your friends and your family and your pets if you're generous enough and you love them like family. Get your dogs and cats some Evo also. And you will have a lot more at-home time than needing to wait for medical people to give you a hand. So preventative.
But
Wow.
this all now, I might say this is all happening in a different magnetic field state. So, Chris, some of those previous articles, and these experiments doing it running, I'm wondering how C60 Evo is going to behave in a different magnetic field state. Because, Patty, what you're talking about and what the research I'm looking at too is Earth's magnetic field continues to decline year upon year at a faster rate than it was prior. So, things that have been stable for such a long time is because the magnetic field state had remained stable for so long. But now that's changing. Our lobes of our brain, electrically connected, processing information differently, allow us to see through a lot of the lies that were put in front of us. But I'm just wondering, on a chemical reaction state area, how is this going to behave differently in a magnetic field? Because they never put Wistar rats in like a 50% magnetic field that the Earth is in a specialized chamber to see how it would behave or not. Because I really believe a lot of this awareness is on the magnetic field state. But then this all talks about in the Yuga cycle, when we come to we're rising out through the Dwapara Yuga now, and there's all these different changes mentally, acuity, what you can see, your visual ranges, your auditory ranges are all expanded greatly as we come up every single day on this, but it has a lot to do with magnetic field state. So changes you're seeing, it's naturally all around us. Now, how can it be enhanced through things that we put into our body as well, is the next question.
Yeah, well, one, human physiology, what is going to be how are the changes going to be managed by the human body? That's an interesting thing. The first place I go when you start talking about these magnetic field changes is the fact that this ESS60 molecule is the largest molecule to exhibit quantum behavior. Right. So you've got quantum behavior. We're familiar with it. I think Einstein said, if you think you understand it, then you haven't read enough about it. Right. Like it's that complex. And the ESS60 molecule is the largest molecule to exhibit quantum behavior. So it wouldn't surprise me if because of this duality, that it has the ability to actually stay in its spot, right, to continue to operate as it normally does, regardless of the magnetic field.
So it's a test every day to be human now. And all I can say is do your work from the inside out, clear out your mitochondrial toxins so that your brain can wake back up and you can work with the planet to help your friends and family live better lives. And we're going to get there. And I know that every day I stress about what the news is telling me is kind of wasted energy. So I just keep going for see the future. See that rainbows are not things painted in the streets, but actually something natural in the sky again, because perhaps we're going to have real skies again. I see that coming, and I believe it's going to be sooner than later. So if we can all be supportive of the forward progress and how far we've come, we're going to get a long way with this. And I recommend everybody at least try the C60 Evo organic olive oil. You don't have to get the 32-ounce big bottle. You can do a 4-ounce bottle, which will last you a month, or an 8-ounce bottle will last you a month if you take a tablespoon or a teaspoon. This is our avocado oil, really loved by Roseanne Barr. And it's also very delicious on a spoon or on avocado toast. And then we have the MCT coconut oil, which is my favorite way to start the day in my morning coffee. And while it's blending in, I know it's half as strong as the olive oil. I'll take a shot of the olive just to get me really strong for the day. So everybody needs to use their intuition. And when you go to find us, c60evo.com/adapt2030, just be careful. You want to get ESS60 because you want to buy American-made carbon fullerenes from our lab in Houston, Texas, if you want to have safe ESS60, which is elemental safe spheres with 60 carbon atoms.
Thanks for your time today. I hope you got something out of our talk, because we really are in a very transitory time here. And it is all about getting through healthily and clean living as we progress through these changes, because there's so many things coming at us. We've got there one gigantic hurdle. Now comes these the next set of things that are going to be pushed. Can't really validate what it would be, but it begins soon. And we need to be as healthy as we can and prepare. But it's the best time to be alive in human history. You know how many people would trade their place? Like Roman emperors would love to be alive right now.
Hmm.
Chinese emperors would love to be alive right now, but they would trade anything for their prior, you know, dynasties and kingdoms, fiefdoms to be alive right now because it's such an amazing time. So anyway, I appreciate you joining,
that.
and I'll leave the link in the description box below, C60EVO.com/adapt2030. Remember, every purchase you make helps keep this broadcast on air, bringing you information just like this so we can solve these problems together and break bread on the other side of everything that occurs. So I'll see you next time. Bye for now.
Thank you.